I have to cross here. Let's see. Should I cross at this corner or this one or that one over there? Which corner should I cross at?
They'll travel because of me.
That's not enough to fight Lizardio. If you don't like crowds and heat, you won't like it much here in India. Tonton, hello, hello. This is called the Gateway of India. This is the gateway to the world's new most populous country. 1.4 billion people call this country home. Why are there so many? Are they going to keep increasing? Will its population keep growing uncontrollably like Frieza's power when he transforms? Or what will happen? Let's find out.
India has 28 states with a total of 4,000 cities and towns. 1 billion people are concentrated in 300 cities. Imagine if all the capitals of Latin America were in the same country. Bogota, Mexico City, Brasilia, Buenos Aires, Santiago, all of them one single country. Even so, India has more cities. It has 65 cities. It has cities with more than 1 million people. If all of Hispanic America were one country, India has more people. If we add Brazil and Spain, India still has more people. If we include the entire American continent, Canada, and the United States, even then India has more people.
So the number of people born here in India in 1 year is 23 million people, 23 million every year. A lot, much higher than the other countries that compete with India for the largest population. For example, in China, 10 million are born each year. India makes the 10 million born each year in China sound like a small number, like it's a low figure. But that's a huge number of people in China, 10 million, and India doubles that, more than doubles it. In fact, India didn't keep track of how many people they had. They had no accurate count. It wasn't until 1950 that they started counting their population, and since then it has grown by a billion. To understand it better, let's break it down.
Let's look at one day.
In 1 day in India, 60,000 are born, 30,000 will die, and 1,600 will emigrate to another country. Well, now you do it.
We expect it to be even easier.
Let's look at it by the hour. In 1 hour, 3,300 children will be born, 1,600 people will die, and 67 will leave for another country.
That's why India surpassed Mexico as the country in the world with the most emigrants, meaning with the most citizens living outside their country. With 32 million people born in India, outside of India, and their descendants born in other countries are already 19 million. In fact, every year 2.5 million people from India move to another country, by far the highest number of any country in the world. India is the largest source of immigrants on the planet.
A negative net migration rate. More people immigrate to another country from India than people who come here. In fact, here in India, when you ask people, 70% of them would like to go live in another country.
They go to the most common countries: the United States, Australia, the United Kingdom, and their favorite country in recent years, Canada. People from India are the ones taking the most advantage of their immigration programs that offer residency. At my immigration company, we can also help you immigrate to Canada. Give us a call at Civic CB Canada Immigration.
But even so, their birth rate has decreased in recent years. In fact, the average is only 2 children per woman, and this fertility rate of 2 children per woman is in rural areas. Here in urban areas, it's less, approximately 1.7. So in Mexico, we have a higher birth rate than India, but we don't have 1.4 billion Mexicans. This is the situation.
This statistic puts an end to the myth that people in India have more than 10 children. It's simply not true. It's not women having a lot of children. It's normal, average couples having 1 or 2 children at most. but there are hundreds of millions of couples.
The other two most populated countries in the world are China and the United States. But India has a much higher population growth, and out of this current population of 1.4 billion, almost half are under 25 years old. It's a very young population growing very fast.
So India will inevitably become the third largest economy in the world. Not because of their wages or quality of life, but because of the sheer size of their population. Even if each citizen spends just $1 a day, the economy will reach $10 trillion in the next decade. If you're an investor, you should have Indian companies in your portfolio. And if you're a businessman, you should find a way, no matter what, to sell your product or service to the Indian consumer market.
If you're from Mexico City, imagine an event in the Zocalo. Mexico City's Zocalo. That's what India is like. But not just during a massive event, it's like that every day. And not just in the Zocalo, but on every street, anywhere in the city. And not just in the capital city, but in all of its cities. That's India. Here they're telling this girl that she can't use her flowers. She's wearing a flower necklace. They're telling her she can't wear her flower necklace in the temple because the flowers are offered to the holy book and no one is above the book. But the lady, well, she just doesn't want to understand. Another thing about this country, have you noticed? With the little I've shown you about the streets and its people, have you noticed? Let me tell you. 80% of the people on the street are men. In some places, it's 90% men. The only women you see are the cows. When I first noticed this, I asked the guys who live here, I said, "What's up?" Because it's all dudes here. It feels like a party in Mexico. Just guys. Hey, where are the girls? Where are the women? They told me, "Oh, they're at home cooking. Their families watch them closely. They don't go out." I said, "Really? I don't think so." I started reading the demographics and I found
that India has an artificial imbalance in the population between men and women. This is because of the general preference for having a son rather than a daughter. Add to this the fact that culturally women have to pay a very expensive dowry to get married. It's a huge burden for a poor family to have daughters. Therefore, even though it's illegal and unacceptable, it's common to end a pregnancy if it's a girl. This leads to almost 400,000 girls a year who should have been born are never born. You see, now it makes more sense why there are so many guys on the street. That's why when someone tells you something, believe them, but also look into it yourself.
For every 100 girls, 111 boys were born, and that caused the imbalance. But in recent decades, births of boys and girls and the overall population are starting to balance out. Not like now when it's almost all men wherever you go, just men everywhere. Even so, infant mortality remains very high. In fact, it has increased, and that's even by third world country standards. As a developing country, its infant mortality is very high. And here we have the same problem as in Mexico. The police arrive and they have to move their stalls. The conflict between street vendors and police officers, there's always a guy on a motorcycle who wants to get through the crowd and just honks his horn at you. Instead of getting off and walking your motorcycle, no, they just keep honking the horn at you. There goes another one. Honk at him, honk louder. It's really hot here. I'm wearing shorts and I've seen people here even wearing jackets and they're not hot. They're stuck there, look, they can't go forward or backward. For that one to move, the other one has to move and then the other one has to move too. But neither of them wants to move. That poor water seller with the electrolyte water, look. When he's shouting water, electrolyte water, they don't even hear him. Neither forward nor backward. There, yes, there they go, there they go, there they go. There goes the Sultan giving away peanuts. There, yes, you rub the magic lamp. Look, get out of here. Rub it there so the genie comes out. Let's try to cross. Look, we have to get into traffic over there. Look. So, oh man, take it. I had never seen a metal detector and soldiers checking every passenger to enter a subway. In an airport, well, this is very common, but to enter a subway, it's the first time I've seen it. At night, it's much faster to walk because there are far fewer people on the streets and much less traffic. I realized that the distances aren't that big because this morning I took an Uber to this area and the Uber took about 45 minutes. And right now I got here walking in about 10 minutes since these streets are clear and there aren't 300 motorcycles you have to dodge. So if you want to go out for a walk in India, go out at night. It's safe, some places are open and people are calm. Maybe this whole thing about it being safe is just my perspective because I'm a man, and if you're a woman, the story is different. You see that privilege we men have, that cities are much safer for us? It's much less likely that something will happen to you if you're a man than if you're a woman. But here I've also seen European girls, tourists walking around. And just like that, it's almost 2 in the morning to a certain extent. It feels similar to the big cities in Mexico. You have neighborhoods that are very busy with lots of pedestrians, densely populated, and on every corner, every house, every door is a family business. Not a franchise, but a person who has a business with their home above it. Very similar to Mexico. And also the street vendors who sell you everything. Most of the entrances to apartments I've seen are like this. Look, see how narrow it is. So if you have a car, how do you get into your house? Your only option is a motorcycle and leaving it in the designated motorcycle parking areas. The streets really are a mess. The streets aren't organized. One block starts where another ends. It has alleys like this and exits and entrances. If you look at it on the map, you see there's no way to get your bearings. You could say, for example, these here, look. And it continues there. And here you don't know this way. And like that. And there you can go out to a main avenue. Here is another hotel. And this prevents the government from being able to provide efficient public transportation to these people. How do you put a bus line or a trolley bus or a subway here? You simply can't. The only way to get into these neighborhoods is on foot, by motorcycle or by bicycle. And they're not small. It's not just a few streets. It's kilometers and kilometers. There are people who live inside one of these alleys and have to walk 2 or 3 kilometers on streets like this. Now let's talk about a serious topic, a very serious one. You already know it's nothing but serious, difficult topics here. Population control, birth control. In Latin America, we're heading this way. We're on the same path. And I know this is a very difficult topic. Anyone who supports population control in Latin America is labeled as diabolical, evil, satanic, someone who works with the devil. They've already turned it not just into a political and religious issue, but into a matter of evil versus good. In other words, if you're good, you agree that people should have as many children as they want. And if you're evil, satanic, then you support population control. This happened because many rich people donate money, a lot of money, to multiple organizations, and these organizations fund causes like abortion. Therefore, religions already say these people are malevolent, they are satanic. It's okay, we respect people's freedom of belief, ideology, and religion. I'm just telling you, if we don't have population control in Latin America, we're going to end up like this. And if all these people had jobs, health insurance, decent housing, education without any problem, the Earth could support billions more of us. The Earth, planet Earth, is not even close to 10% of its capacity, not even 5% if we use resources well, if we extract resources properly. Population control is not about attacking your religion or about Satan coming to rule the world. Population control is so we don't end up like this. And that's how India is. Some parts are green, beautiful, and sacred, and some parts are so crowded that you can't even stand, let alone walk. You can't stand like this. And the country will keep growing, the population will keep growing. In Latin America, we're heading in the same direction. Because if you look at the numbers, the growth rates in Latin American countries, we're at a very similar rate. And even though we don't yet have the tens of millions that these people have, with the space we have, we can reach that point. That's my report for now. See you next time.